This is going to be a boring video, but very educational, and someone's got to tell you, and who better than I? Or is it me? Who better? I never get that right. So I'm actually doing this video for my own clients because I'm braver behind the camera than I am in person. It's true. I know I'm all brave on camera, and then I get in front of my clients and I start chickening out. But these are just helpful tips. So as you're getting close to the closing of your transaction and even thereafter, these are things that I highly suggest that you be mindful of and apply. Let's get into it. You need to put your change of address form as soon as all contingencies are removed, okay? Forward your mail somewhere, whether via P.O. box, a family, a friend. You need to get on that immediately. I have no idea what's going on with the Postal Service, but they are slow as molasses. So all that mail will not be forwarded in a couple days. You need to give them weeks. So if you have important documents, more than likely your buyer is just going to throw it in the trash. And if you have kind of a testy transaction, not a good idea to have all your mail continuing to be delivered at your departing residence. So I highly suggest you get that change of address form in ASAP, like as soon as all contingencies are removed. P.O. box, friend, someone, just not your departing property. I can't tell you how many phone calls I get. Audra, I sent my Amazon package accidentally to the departing property. Can you go pick it up? Now, your buyers get really irritated when packages are delivered to their front doorstep. I promise, they get super annoyed and they don't think you're being responsible. Even if you did have that change of address form in, they don't like hassles. They don't like contacting me. So after a while, they're just going to throw it in the trash or they're going to send it back to the sender. Do yourself a favor. Do me a favor. Put that change of address form in as soon as contingencies are removed. Thank you. The second one is shut off those utilities. I recommend doing it the day after the scheduled closing of your home. Sometimes there's delays. More than likely, your buyer will turn on those utilities and schedule it, but oftentimes they don't. They get busy. They move into the house. I'm telling you, make sure you shut off those utilities you forget. And then a month goes by and you give me a call and you're like, Audra, oh my goodness, I forgot to shut off the utilities and now these buyers have used all my utilities for a solid month. Can you go ask them to pay me? Hey guys, once the transaction closes, I'm done. I'm joking, sorta. I'm happy to help, but this is on you, right? You got to do your responsibilities in managing your home. I know I told you my clients aren't going to like this, but the buyers do not have to give you that money back. You got to shut it down. It's your account. It's your responsibility. No, not going to be liked right now. Shut off those utilities. The third thing is that communications box. We have Cox in my area. I don't know what provider you have in your area, but more than likely you have a router or a modem that's powering the TV. I don't know how that stuff works. But nonetheless, when you close on a property and you shut down your services, your Cox provider or your communication provider will ask for that back. Everyone forgets it, so I'm reminding you to do it, and you need to take it, remove it, and bring it into the Cox or whatever communications provider you have. If you don't, they'll be giving you a call or sending you a statement with $300, $400, $500 saying, hey, you didn't return our equipment, and so now we're going to give you this big hefty fine. And then what's going to happen is I get the phone call, Audra, oh my goodness, you told me that I should have done this and I forgot. Can you go ask the buyer if we can go take our Cox and modem and all that stuff and return it? Now, you guys have to realize that once you close on a property, the remaining stuff that's in the house conveys with the property. So if your buyer's nice, they might let you. If you have kind of a rocky transaction, more than likely they're going to say no. Get your Cox box or your communication modems and routers back to the provider. It'll save you some time and money and me a lot of hassle. Thank you. Number 4 is you need to continue paying for your home insurance, your HOA, your mortgage payment. And a lot of you are like, well, my mortgage payments due like just 3 days after we close. Still pay all of your dues. Title or escrow, they will reconcile the accounts and you will get your money back. But for heaven's sakes, please continue paying your bills. Keep paying them. I know you're tempted. You want to save that money, especially those HOA dues. We're all a little bit bitter about paying those HOA dues, but continue paying. You will get your money back and you will get a credit a few days after you close on the property. You need to clean the house when you vacate the property. And I know you're going to say, Audra, all properties are sold as is, especially in California. Okay, as is doesn't mean you get to leave it as a dump, okay? When your buyers viewed the property and they signed that contract, the house was probably in tip-top shape. So that as-is condition, it is in the condition the day that they signed a fully executed contract. So I'm sure there wasn't any fuzzy-wuzzy fuzzballs all over the place, and I'm sure it was vacuumed and the counters were clean and there wasn't trash built up on the side of the yard. So if you are selling your home, a lot of you have reached out saying, do we really need to clean the house? The answer is yes. Yes, you do. You need to make sure it looks beautiful. If you signed that contract and it was a complete destruction zone and it was piled full of a bunch of boxes and debris and, dog and animal feces, then okay, fine. But more than likely, when you're signing that fully executed contract, the house looks like in its best light. And when they go on MLS and they see how beautiful the home is online, they're expecting to have the property in that same condition. So clean that house. This is not a time to skimp, which is why you probably want to hire someone to come and clean up. I know it's expensive, but to be fair, you're going to be really tired. And I know we get tempted like, oh, I can clean up after I move. You're going to be in a bad mood. You're going to be irritated. There's always something that goes wrong. And then you're going to let that one little thing slip and it could hold up the transaction because the house isn't left in the condition anticipated. Leave the nail holes in the wall. I know you think I'm crazy, but this is the reason why. As soon as you remove a nail hole, oh boy, we have a hole in the wall. And that wasn't the same condition as the time we signed that fully executed contract. So we're going to leave the nail holes in. If you take a nail hole out, you're going to have to patch the wall and paint it. The problem with doing that is, and I know you're just trying to be nice to your buyers and you're trying to give them a beautiful home, but if the sheen doesn't match or the paint slightly off, the buyer could potentially come back to you and say, this was not the condition we agreed. Now you're going to have to paint the whole house for me because there's no way we will ever get these sheens to match and you ruin the wall. We just leave the nail holes in. I know. And if your buyer's super fussy, you can give them a credit to go have their handyman do it, but that's not on you. That's what I'm suggesting my sellers do. Another one is we need to take the trash off the property. I'm not kidding. When a property finally closes, more than likely, all the trash cans on the side of the yard are filled to the brim, and I get this text message from you, my client, saying, oh, by the way, trash day's on Tuesday, Audra. Can you just tell the sellers that you'll take it out on Tuesday? Like, no. I am not allowed to step foot on somebody else's property unless they agree. And just so you know, I'm not the trash lady, okay? I highly suggest that you hire someone because if you don't, now this is true with anything. Like a lot of you think, oh, I'm going to leave my gardening, supplies or the paint for the property. You don't do that because what'll happen is the buyer can get on the property and say, listen, this wasn't agreed upon. I didn't agree to all these things. I don't want your old paint. And now I got to spend extra time disposing it in a special facility. And I don't want your gardening tools. It's not what I want. And I don't want your shovels in my garage. And I don't want any of this. So what they can do is they can give you a notice to remove all of these items. Otherwise, if you don't do so, they are able to hire someone to remove all of it and they can stick you with the bill. So highly suggest that if you do want to leave things behind, that you do get agreement with the buyer that those things can remain. A big thing is those paint cans. You guys think it's all a really good idea to leave it behind? I had a client one time leave all the paint behind. The buyer got super mad, gave me a demand to remove the materials. It was a pain in the neck. So make sure you get it in writing that certain things are to convey or not convey. I can promise you that your buyer does not want trash along the side of the yard. Get it off the property, and it's not my responsibility to do that for you. I know, I'm being harsh today, but this will help you. Once you close on a property, you need to contact your home insurance and cancel the policy. And for those of you who are doing rent backs or have a couple days that you can stay after once the property closes, you need to get renter's insurance. So one of those first calls is to that home insurance as soon as you close, and also make sure you have renter's insurance in place to cover you and your personal items if anything were to happen in that period of time that you're still remaining on the property before you hand over possession to the buyer. Okay, I'll make it really quick. Infomercial. Please subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to get to 100,000 subscribers by the end of 2025. So please help a girl out. This is a really important one, and it happens often, and it kind of breaks my heart a little bit. And that is, we need to be respectful for the people who are maintaining your home, whether it be a gardener or a pool service crew, a pest control person. What'll happen is you will leave the property and you forget to tell these service people that you're leaving. And so they don't know, and so they keep maintaining the property. And then next thing I know, I get a call from them and they go, hey, listen, I've been, doing the gardening on this home for several months and I'm not getting paid. Can you contact the homeowner? And the answer is, it's no longer their home. So make sure if you're leaving, your home and departing, you let those service people know that you no longer will be requiring those services. And of course, if they did serve you well, obviously, leave a list and contact information to the next homeowner. They would appreciate it. But there's nothing that breaks my heart more than we have these hardworking people that aren't being serviced because you forgot to tell them you no longer need their services. This has happened a lot, believe it or not. There's certain communities and cities that have restrictions on when you can move into a property. So in my community, for example, we can't move on Sundays. The community wants it really quiet on Sundays, and no moving truck is allowed. So if a buyer schedules a move on a Sunday, the community's going to say, no, you can't do that. So, and if you're selling your property and you want to pack all your stuff up, if it's on a Sunday, you can't do that. So it creates a lot of conflict. So make sure you know the rules in your area. I know people don't know this. That's why I'm here telling you. Make sure you know what your city and also your community allows for. It could create a major headache for you if you don't know that. Okay, I see this a lot too, where the homeowner will give me a call and say, oh, Audra, I didn't get my pods picked up in time. We were just running a little bit late. And they have these big pod systems, that are sitting out in the front of the yard, or they have these big trash dumpster things. And I get a call from the home seller and they say, hey, Audra, just tell the buyer that we're going to have the pods removed within a couple days and the dumpster's coming next week. So just tell them that we're on it and not to worry. Okay, whoa, no, we don't do that. First of all, we don't tell the buyer anything. We need to have collaboration. We need to have agreement. You can't just have the stupid pods sitting out front and the dumpsters out front because your buyers need to have access to move into the property. So if you are in that situation, which I highly suggest you avoid at all costs, that you contact the buyer and make sure they're in agreement. And even if you have to make some adjustments by moving the dumpster somewhere, the pod somewhere temporarily, that could be a workaround. But just don't tell your buyer, oh, this is what we're doing. Let's go close. It could potentially push back the closing if this isn't addressed. Don't do that if possible. And if you need to, hopefully everybody's going to work together to make it work, but don't assume. Remotes. This drives me bonkers. People, you have to leave your remotes back at the property. You don't need them wherever you're going. And I don't know what it is, but those little remotes find their ways into those boxes. And the next thing I know, my sellers are telling me, oh my gosh, Audrey, when we get back to our, location, we'll just mail the new homeowners the remotes. Well, how long is that going to take? Leave the remotes out. I'm serious. Right now, if you're selling your home, just figure out where you're going to put the remotes. Those garage door openers. So when you are filling out disclosures, there is a section on the disclosures saying how many garage door openers convey with the property. And if you put 2, it doesn't mean 2 inoperable remotes. It means 2 operational garage door remotes. So a lot of you will say, oh yeah, my garage door opener didn't work, Audra. Here's 2 that I ordered. They're not programmed. No, 2 garage door openers mean 2 actually work. None of this programming stuff. So what ends up happening is Audra has to go over there and program all the remotes. Okay, I don't know how to do it, so I got to hire somebody. It's costly. And then not even that, your buyers are mad because they can't get into the garage. So if you are not wanting to convey 2 operational garage door openers, then don't write down 2. Write down 0. In fact, just write down 0 so that I don't have to run around like a crazy woman fixing everybody's problems. So garage remotes need to work. Number 2, leave your remotes behind. Saves a lot of time, energy, and hassle for me and everybody else involved. Okay, and the question you all want the answer to is, Audra, when am I going to get my money? When am I going to get it? All right, so if you're working with me, you get your money the next business day. And sometimes we can make it happen the same day, but like 1% of the time. And that's usually an all-cash offer that closes very early in the morning. So we reconcile the accounts the very next business day. I work with escrow. Some of you are working with title. They will contact you and wire the money into your account the very next day. So not the same day, the next day. If it's on a weekend or a holiday, obviously it rolls to that next business day. Are you guys noticing I'm wearing red? Now, for those of you who've been following me all these years, I bet you'd never seen me wear red because I only wear red when I'm going on a listing presentation, which I'm doing right after this video. Now, I've read somewhere or watched some video that, red is a dominant color. And if you're interviewing, it's a really good color to wear. And I don't know, I'm not jinxing it because ever since I've been wearing red to my listing appointments, I've been getting the deal. So if you think about it and you're my client, I probably wore this outfit or another outfit that had red in it when I interviewed with you. So if you're watching this video and you're not already my client and have interest in hiring me, I am located in Orange County, California. And if I show up wearing red, you know I want your listing. And for you newer agents out there that are watching, or even some of you more seasoned agents, wear red. If you're going into a listing presentation, try red. It's been doing a great trick for me. And you guys all know that when you are selling your home, I really, really recommend that you avoid red unless you are in an interview. All right. Thanks so much for watching this video. Thanks for your support. And if you wouldn't mind, smash that like button and subscribe to my channel. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one.